I've got everything I need to go urban sketching in this one very small compact bag. So what have I got in here? Let's go and have a look. Like any new hobby or interest, if you're starting urban sketching for the first time, you probably don't want to fork out an absolute fortune before you know if you're actually going to take to it and enjoy it, or if it's going to be a 5-minute wonder. But on the other hand, if you cut corners in the wrong place, some really cheap, nasty materials might put you off before you've given it a fair chance. So I've put together what I think is a good budget-friendly kit that will just be perfect to get you started. And then I've also got a couple of new suggestions that I've never tried before, so I'm going to go out and give those a try. They're also budget friendly. And then at the end I'll mention a few other things that are not necessities but might help to make your sketching journey a little bit more comfortable. So first of all, let's have a look at what's in this bag. All that I've got in this bag are the absolute basics that you need. Well, the absolute basics would really just be a sketchbook and a pen or pencil, but assuming that you want to put a little bit of colour on it. So we have a sketchbook. This one is Seawhite Brighton. I think they're just called Seawhite now. It's A5, which I think is quite a good size to start with. It's not so big and it's not so small that you've got to really cramp everything up and it gets a bit fiddly. This one's only 200 GSM, grams per square metre, but it does take the wash quite well. I know I'm always banging on about it. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. It's just the one that I choose for everyday use. But I am going to try something new, but we'll come on to that in a bit. The next thing is some paint, but I'm also going to try some different paints, which I'll come on to in a second. Next, I have a Platinum Preppy fountain pen. You could use a fine liner if you prefer. The Platinum Preppy are good because you can use cartridges with them, permanent ink cartridges, so you don't have to go and buy a bottle of ink or a converter. And a water brush. There's no denying these are really useful. No, I don't get on with them as well as I do a normal brush. I can't quite get all the water flowing through that I'd like, but they are so convenient. And that's it. That's basically all you need. And you're ready to go. Now, last time I mentioned the paints. Now, these are the Cotman range, which are student range. So they don't have as much pigment in, but someone in the comments mentioned a different brand. And I have these here. They're a pocket box by Van Gogh. And the person in the comments said that they are probably a little bit cheaper than Cotman and actually slightly better. They're slightly more pigmented. Now, I've never tried them myself, so I thought, well, I'll order a set and see how I get on with them and then let you know what I think. The other new thing that I'm going to try is some new paper. I stumbled across this and it's actually cheaper than the Seawhite A5 pads that I normally use. Now, it says that it's 300 GSM and 100% cotton. Now I'm sounding a little, I've got a little trepidation in my voice there because after I'd bought it, I did read some of the reviews saying that it's definitely not 100% cotton. Now, I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know if I'll be able to tell if it's 100% cotton. I don't have a cotton detector, but I'm going to give it a try and at least we can see if it's worth buying or not. So again, I haven't opened it. Let's open this and the paints now. A bit bigger than the Cotmans, and you've got 6 mixing areas. Okay, so the brush that it comes with is one of these little tiny ones. And there's a handy swatch card here, and it does tell you the colours on the back here, but I'll go through them. I'll just put them on the screen rather than reading them all out. Let's have a look at this then. Well, the paper does feel thicker and it's got one side with a tooth and the other side is smoother, which is normal. I don't know how I'm going to be able to tell you whether it is 100% cotton or not reliably. I'm just going to tell you whether I like using it or not. So I'm going out sketching tomorrow. I'm going to take this with me. Definitely going to take these with me and let's see how we get on. Well, I'm back in Dedham. If you've watched a video that I did with my friend Sam, you might recognise the scenes around me. It's a very pretty little village, sort of on the border of Essex and Suffolk. So I thought it was a great place to have a go with these new paints. Well, I think I might try a couple. There's a view behind me of a little building with some red windows, which looks quite appealing. And then sort of this way round. I might try something from that angle there. Depends how much time I've got and how long I take really. So I've got the new watercolour pad, 100% cotton allegedly, and these new Van Gogh paints. Oops, good start. There you go. Oh, look, this has actually got the colours on. I don't know if you can see that. If you can, then that saved me a lot of typing. Okay, so I'm going to use my pink 40 degree Fude pen. Now, I know this video is about taking stuff out in, you know, a minimal kit and saying you only need the Preppy, which you do. Now, I know the Preppy is a great pen. I've just used it on holiday in Greece and loved it. But I am testing out this paper, so I want to use it with a pen that I use most of the time, so I can give it a fair trial. And I've been using a Fude nib quite a lot lately, so that's the reason I'm using this pen. There's nothing wrong with the Preppy, but I just want to give this paper a fair trial. So what I'm going to try to do is frame it with a bit of the tree coming around here, and then put my building about here. I'm going to be careful that I don't do it too big, so I'm going to make sure that I start with that chimney, or not necessarily start with that chimney, but I'm going to make sure I leave room for the chimney. Holding my fingers up and looking at the chimney, the top of the chimney to the bottom of the roof is actually half the height of the building itself, from the building that I can see, because obviously there's a brick wall in front of it. So you've actually got thirds. So I'm going to actually put a little dot here and measure third, maybe a bit bigger than that then. 1, 2, 3. So if I put a little dot down here, that's where the brick wall's going to be. And then let's split that into thirds. I don't really want to make a mark there because there's nothing to draw there. But let's say then that's where my roof joins. So I put in my roof line. I can't quite see all of the chimney because there's a tree in front of it, but I'm just going to draw some rough lines. Come all the way down here. And that's where that little brick wall is. Now, when I'm going to put this window in, I'm going to look at the negative space to the left of it, here, just to give me an idea of how far along to go. And again here, look at the negative space around that window. Now there's a big white van right in front, honestly, you couldn't make it up. That is one of the joys of urban sketching, so while he's here, I'm just going to put some of those leaves in. I wouldn't normally do that until the end, but I don't know how long he's going to be. So I'm just doing it by instinct and feel, really. If I sit here much longer, there won't be any leaves left anyway. Another bit that I can see. Again, looking at negative space, I can draw the next top of that window. I can't come down because I don't know what the gap is between here and here until that van moves. And I'm going to get it in quick before another van arrives. So then I'm lining up the bottom of that one there. And line up the middles. So I'm lining up all the window panes. I'll make these a bit thicker so you can see they're 3D, and on the same on the outside. It's quite a good idea if you've got two things the same, like these two windows are the same, to do them both at the same time. We're getting the flow of it, go there, 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 so on. So just thicken up those edges a bit, and we know where the bottom's going to be. We'll continue that along a little. I'm a bit annoyed that I've done quite so many leaves here. Kind of changed my flow a little bit because I had to stop and wait, but never mind, it is what it is. Just drawing these central bars all at once. And then notice how the door lines up with that window. And then just remember, you can't have too many lines around door frames. Just looking at the negative space there as well. So that's the ink work done, and so far I'm really enjoying using this paper. So sadly I did have to finish my sketch at home because it started to rain. But what's the verdict on the new materials? Well, the paints, I'm really pleased with them. I think the colours are really vibrant. You've got lots of area for mixing. Some of them had fallen out when I got home, but that's not the brand's fault. That's happened with lots of sets of paints I've had. I'm just going to put a little bit of blue tack or white tack or something underneath them to try and just hold them in. But the paints themselves, I really like them. For a student brand, I would highly recommend them. So thank you, whoever mentioned them in the comments, for mentioning this brand. And the paper, I can't put my name to whether it's 100% cotton or not. At that price, I'm surprised, but I don't know. I can't tell you for sure. All I can say is that for £8 for a pad of 30 cards like this, I'm really happy with it. Obviously, if you want to do a double page spread like I quite often do in my sketchbook, then it's not very convenient for that. But if you want to create cards or just single sketches, the quality of the paper I found to be very good. And you've also got the added bonus of the fact that there's a tooth on one side and smoother on the other side, so whatever your preference is. And also if you wanted to use something like coloured pencils, which I find easier to use on a slightly smoother surface rather than something that's got a tooth. So if you're looking for an option that's maybe not a sketchbook but some A5 cards, I'm very happy with this. Let's just go through a couple of other options. If you decided that you didn't want to use a water brush, then I highly recommend these little camping cups. Completely collapsible. And then it just folds up completely flat. And if you are going to take some extra brushes with you, then you might want to get something like a little pencil case like this, which has got an elasticated bit. You can just wrap it round. And it doesn't add much bulk. So just another couple of things that I sometimes take with me are a stool. Just a basic three-legged stool from a camping shop. You know, it's one of those shops that's always closing down but never actually does. Perfectly comfortable. And the other type is one of these that folds up in this little bag. It's just slightly more comfortable. Just make sure these are in properly. Oops. And that's actually a bit more comfortable. And then to fold it up, I'll just pull it apart and twist it. And then it just goes back in this little bag. So they're both very lightweight, easy to carry solutions. It's just this one's just a little bit more comfortable. And the final thing I sometimes take with me is this little, well, it's called a pocket blanket. I think it's got ideas above its station calling itself a blanket. However, it is quite a useful cloth. It's a useful piece of fabric that folds up very small. If you're sitting on a damp bench or something, then you can just put it down and you don't get a wet bum. It comes out like this. Some people probably do it neater than me. And then you can just comfortably sit on a sort of damp bench in winter. And then you very neatly fold it back up. Perfect. You can actually get a slightly bigger one. This is the smallest size that they do, I think. And it's really handy. Well, I hope that's been useful and also interesting. Thanks for watching and happy sketching.